Hello everyone, this is Connor Smith, President of Mountain View High School Model United Nations, and this video will be less of instruction and more of guiding you through the process of how to do research for your country and your committee. And for this I will be using the Arizona Model United Nations General Research Guide, something that all of you should have in your binders at this point, of course. As you can see, all of these documents are indeed important in the end, and that's a reason you should have them in your binder. And so we're going to start right at the beginning with the Arizona Model UN site, and that's for general information, which you can see at the very top of this paper. Feel free to look at all my URLs and everything, preferably not my bookmarks, but I guess that's up to you. Right now I'm at the Arizona Model United Nations homepage, and it can be kind of confusing at first, but otherwise fairly easy. The part you want to focus in is going to be right here under Conference, and so you highlight over that. Everything here can technically relate to you if you want to know the schedule, the resources. What you're going to want are the resources, the rules and procedures, and the committees and guides. The resources are going to provide most of what you already have in your binder, but if you happen to lose any from here. Also, the resources provide something very important, and that would be the committee research guides. Now, all of you at this point have been assigned a committee, whether it's GA4, GA6, CSW, ECOSOC. You can find that committee right here and choose to download one of these, and it will basically guide you through what your topic is about, the best way to research it, questions to ask yourself for critical thinking, all of that. When I went to conference, I based most of my debate on what I found in the research guide. There's a reason they're called research guides. So trust these, they are your friend. Find the one that applies to you. Obviously, I cannot mass distribute these. And use that because it will seriously help you. Maybe find someone in your specific committee that's willing to print one out for you. That will be broad for your committee, as in it is not country specific, but it will tell you how to research for your country. So keep that in mind. Also on the Arizona Model UN site, you'll have the rules and procedures. This also includes what you should have in your binder, with the exception of the long rules. Print these out if you ever need them. Once again, short rules is a good thing to have. The long rules right here, the very first one, the rules and procedures, if you can understand all of it, feel free to use that. It does go into more detail. And then of course there's committees and guides, which actually is also under resources. But this actually goes into detail about what each committee is about. You should have seen this on the committee application paper that was passed out anyway. But here it also has the attached guides, and you can see all of the committees, even the ones that you may not be on. That's about it for the actual Arizona Model UN site. Remember, all of the rest of this stuff you can look at on your personal time. But pay attention to, on the research guides, it will say, you might want the long and the short form of the rules. Topics, position papers we will be getting into later in the year, but basically a position paper just highlights what your country believes about the specific topic. And then, of course, the resolution guide, which we discussed earlier with resolutions in previous videos, that will teach you how to write a resolution. Now you want to get more or less into your actual committee information and more into country information. A lot of these good sites are CIA.gov, Foreign Ministry. The best one I personally like to use is the CIA World Factbook. This helps you just discover information about your country in particular. All you have to do is select a country from this long list of countries over here, or find it on the map somewhere. Narrow it down. It should give you all the information about your country, and it's a good idea to have the background. You may not think initially that the population says much, but it can also tell a lot about, like, if you're a third world country, what major problems your country are facing. Does your African country have a problem with AIDS? Is there something that really needs to be focused on that might end up tying back into the actual conference? For example, in a country that is not very well supported, nuclear power might be extremely important to funding that country and keeping it well alive. Okay, so these are things to consider. In general, it's just good to know a lot about your country, because you are the delegate from that country and you want to act the part. You should know everything there is to know about your country. Of course, some of that stuff may not be important, like the birth and death rate, but still try to know it. What I recommend more than anything is print all of this information out. Everything you find, all the research guides and everything, print it out, hole punch it, put it in your binder. That binder you are taking to the conference, it will have everything you need. And even if you bring a laptop, it's good to know you have your binder right there with printed information that you can write on, you can edit, you can highlight, you can point out certain things that you can just refer to. If you're a person that has trouble with memorization, good news for you, you don't have to memorize. You can have it right there in your binder and refer back to it. Now, hopefully you've been doing enough research, but even then, print out your research and put it in your binder. And as we go more through this, I'm not going to say it again, or I may allude to it, but just make sure you're printing everything you find that you feel is important. So that's the CIA World Factbook about actually finding information about your countries. If you want to know about Afghanistan, all you have to do is select Afghanistan itself. It will take you to the fact book for Afghanistan. It will give you the flag. It should even give you the national anthem and a bunch of other information about Afghanistan. As you can see, geography, people in society, government, that one will be important, economy, energy, all of this, a lot of this will apply to what you're talking about. Then we go back to our research guide over here. So they give you a few other sites, Human Development Report. The permanent mission to the United Nations for your country. This is a lot easier, actually, than you would think. You literally can Google permanent mission. So mission, and my country was Botswana last year. I actually think it's still here, to the UN, and you just Google that. And lo and behold, looks what actually pops up, if I actually spelled permanent right. First thing that says is actually titled, The Permanent Mission of Botswana to the United Nations. Okay? And what that basically tells you is you can find everything you need to know from this website that it will take you to about what your actual real country delegate is saying to the UN. Everything at Model UN parallels subjects that have actually been discussed at the United Nations. And so if you find the permanent mission of blank country to the United Nations, you'll end up with a site like this or some source that gives you all sorts of information about what your country has been dealing with at the UN. Now, of course, you may have to do some search and find in order to find something that actually pertains to your specific committee. But this is also good to kind of get the mindset of your country and find everything that's been done in the past. So make sure you pay attention to that. This is probably one of the things that will help you out more than anything, because these are your actual delegates. And so this is who you are imitating, is these people. Then, of course, resolutions. Now, I'm not talking about the resolutions you write or are going to write. I'm talking about actual resolutions that have happened in the United Nations. And so, considering that these are what you're about to write and actually going to go through soon, it might be a good idea to maybe base them off of past ones. And so you go to this site right here, just un.org, and you'll find this site right here. And it has everything you need. Mainly pay attention to perhaps this right column over here. You will notice that there's resources and services, there's the documents, there's maps, there's databases. You can look down here at conferences. You'll find the past conferences, Security Council meetings, everything that happened then. In focus up here, you can find recent ones, the Syrian Chemical Weapons Report, Middle Eastern situations. This has everything that's occurring at the UN, and as I said before, everything at Arizona Model UN parallels the actual UN, so it's either been discussed before or is being discussed. So this is a great place to go to find past resolutions that have actually been put into practice and use those to guide you, or even just look at what's being talked about, look at the progress of certain discussions, or even the conclusion of certain discussions, and maybe use that to your advantage. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily that your conference will go the same way as the real UN. That's not the goal. That would take the fun out of it if you know the end. But it means you might want to kind of go the direction that your country actually went in real life. And then, of course, you look at the rest of this research guide, press releases and newspapers. You all know the sites to look to. You know MSNBC, CNN, BBC, New York Times, probably not The Onion. These are important to have because they address the pros and cons of the topic. Obviously, articles will be opinionated. They will tell you the advantages, you will find ones on the disadvantages, what the public is thinking about this, and it allows you to go into deeper analysis. Before you get all these chunks of information that you don't really know what supports your idea or what is against it, well, here you now have the different views toward it, and you have to kind of decide and determine what your position is and kind of go with that. Once again, I said I wouldn't say it, but I will print all of this information that you find out, That's why it's good to have a big binder, because you can fit everything in it, maybe organized in some way that you know where everything is. Also have lots of loose leaf paper for taking notes. And then once again, they reference the UN.org, the subsidiary bodies. We went over that too. Many topics have organizations entirely devoted to that specific problem. All of that can be found on the UN.org. Simply just look through it, find what you need, get familiar with that site. And then, of course, the one I want to point out most is your brain. And I say this to everyone that goes to Model United Nations. No matter how much research you do, something is going to change at the conference. There's always going to be something that you can't expect. And a lot of it, therefore, is just impromptu speaking, adjusting to the situation, and knowing what's going on, The goal is to know your country when you go in. You know what your country thinks. The rest is entirely up to you. You decide how your country wants to approach this. You decide how your country wants to fix this. All you need to know is what your country's position is. And even if you are one of those people that chooses to do your research the last week, You can find out what your country believes, their mindset, their goals, and then you can go in and completely try to wing it, which often some of the best delegates do. Now, I don't recommend that because researching for a long period of time obviously will come off better, makes you more eligible for rewards. However, just go in knowing that a lot of it is your brain, it's you, essentially your ability to debate, your ability to talk in front of the group, and most importantly, your ability to work with other delegates toward a solution, because oftentimes you will find yourself siding with allies, going with other people, in which case your research kind of melds with others. As it says in the bottom in caps, as I've been saying, once again, I did not make these, print out everything, organize the binder, and make sure you are finding the government's view and not the view of the citizens. That's important. As we scroll through the rest of this, there is actually a checklist for your binder. A lot of this we don't really require you to have. I do agree with everything under your country, the basis outline, the brief history, just so you know what's going on. Of course, you already have a lot of the rules, procedures, and everything in there. The research guides, have all of this in your binder once again. Here's the position paper guide. We will actually go over position papers at a later date, so do not worry about that right now. Position papers are very short. They don't take very long, maybe 30 minutes to write, another 30 to edit, then you send it about your peers, they can edit it, look at it. All it is just half a page per topic. So don't worry about that yet. We'll get into that more. They're due in February around that time period, no matter what conference you're attending. So that's nothing to stress over, and that's actually the only thing you have to turn in all year, so no worries. That should give you an idea of how to research, how to find out more about your country. This is really important for people that say, I have no idea what I'm looking for. Hopefully this helped. Once again, all these documents are available on the website and on the Edmodo group, which everyone should be a part of. So thanks for watching this video, and I hope your research goes well. Feel free to ask any officer for questions or the advisor. Thank you.